I just want to try to organize a little narration on these two silos that were in a barn at one time. The location is east of Père de Sac, about 2 miles, and west of Pulvermacher Road, a couple hundred yards. But this barn that is there now was built in probably in the 1980s sometime. But before that, there was another barn I'll show on the end of this video. But the present barn is just a storage shed, machine shed. But the narration I want on this is those two silos that many times people don't even know or didn't understand, that those silos were in that barn that was there before a tornado came through. The tornado was in 1963, and it traveled from that area east, probably about 6 or 8 miles. Did some damage. I don't remember all the damage that was done, but it was significant. But because this barn was, like I said, one of the biggest in the state at one time, they said that it was the biggest at one time, and then a month later there was another one someplace bigger. The height of it was 70 foot, which is quite big, and you can see right there on the left there's a big pile of wood. There's a couple people on that ramp. They used to be able to drive up into the haymow. Down below there's a grain drill. The lower right side there was a milk house, and they had capacity for maybe, I heard at one time like 100 cows. I don't know if they ever milked that many, but those cows in those days, they would have not wanted to have very good production. A little bit different than what Muskie Mike would like. He wants 100 pounds per cow. Those guys in those days probably wanted 15 or 20, because it was all milking done by hand, not with machines. I don't know when machines came around, but 3 bachelors and 1 old maid. That's the story of the people that lived there. One of the guys, they said that when he smoked, and he would smoke a cigarette, and he would light 1 cigarette from one to the next, especially when he went cultivating. He would take 4 or 5 packs of cigarettes with him, and that was when cigarettes were cheap. Those guys raised pigs. They raised, in the early days, I understand that they had a lot of potatoes. In the cellar on that barn, there was a big cellar. I believe it still exists. Jerry Keller certainly would know a lot more about this than what I do, because he owns that property. But that was an amazing barn, and people everywhere knew it. So that was an exciting building. But at the time it went down, it was certainly tragic. It wasn't used a great deal, and this was in the 60s. It was probably built around the time the dam was built for Père de Sac. And it was just amazing facilities. And after that barn went down, wind came along and took the next barn that was put up, or it was actually a big hog shed that was used. I believe that's what it was. And that lasted, or happened, like 25 years after this barn went down. And this is just a picture of the tornado damage. And obviously they took the whole barn down. It's kind of confusing. I don't understand on the far left what all of that is about. But as you can see here, is from the east end. If you were on Povelmarker Road and looking west, you'd see those two silos standing there. And in the wintertime, it froze the feed in there. They would drive through the barn to unload feed. I don't know what kind of facilities they used to put silage in the silos, but that guy there, broke his foot as a result of that tornado. He was helping clean up stuff, and after the cleanup, the boards and everything wasn't salvageable. Maybe a lot of it was old, and they burned things to get rid of it. This is the second barn, or hog house, and like I said, that lasted for about 25 years, according to Jerry. That house there was a yard there, and I talked to a guy that took his bicycle from where he lived. He biked about a mile to that place, and then he would mow the lawn, probably with a real lawnmower, but it was a job that he was able to get. He probably did it in the mid-50s, but he got $1 for his lawn mowing job. And I remember myself, I helped a guy bale hay, and me and my brother, and we got $1 each for the labor that we put into that, probably in the mid-50s. Things were a little different then, quite a bit different. But in the beginning of the building of the first barn, that was just amazing. Because in those days they had I don't know if I said a cellar in the basement of that original barn, and I think they sold potatoes, but they also, they grew quite a few hogs, marketed pigs in the 50s, maybe in the 40s also, certainly before my time. But one of the old guys said something about, he wore long underwear year round, and he said the cold was kept out because of the long underwear, and in the summer the heat was kept out because of the long underwear. So it's something that was kind of interesting of how they saw things.